Ferrari is still on track in Barcelona. In this case, the SF-24 is being used, the car that finished as the 2024 World Championship runner-up. Without a doubt, having the opportunity to run with such a recent single-seater could help the team significantly, considering that the 2025 car is its natural evolution. However, these are very specific track tests, as they are part of an event organized by the International Federation for Pirelli. The goal is to provide the Italian tire manufacturer with all the necessary tools to hypothesize reality as accurately as possible. Unfortunately, there is no physical model of the 2026 cars. If there were, the work of the Italian tire manufacturer would be much simpler. We say this for several reasons. Now let's understand why. In the tests currently taking place on the Catalan track, Ferrari is using last season's car. However, various modifications have been made to adapt it to the test, starting with the suspension to accommodate tires of different weight and size. Not to mention the floor, which has also been modified to facilitate Pirelli's data collection. All of this indicates that the reliability of these tests for 2025 is practically non-existent. The FIA regulates these tests quite strictly. Here are the details. The Mule car test is defined as any track activity that is not part of a competition, in which a championship-registered competitor participates using cars designed and built to comply with the technical regulations or regulatory framework of any of the 4 calendar years immediately preceding the upcoming racing season. The F1 cars are suitably modified to provide the official tire supplier with a means to test its future products on track. Alternatively, they can also serve as a means for the FIA to test components or systems for future seasons. The cars are limited to the minimum modifications necessary for the development of tires or for track tests conducted by the International Federation concerning specific systems. During any TMC, the cars must be equipped with the control unit mandated by the governing body. In exceptional cases, and solely at the discretion of the governing body upon approval, components and/or software that do not comply with Article 10.10 may be installed, provided that a precise request detailing the reasons is submitted. Ferrari is undoubtedly continuing its work in parallel. The team can keep familiarizing itself with the methodology related to the tasks at hand, especially with Lewis Hamilton. It can verify various parameters of the car concerning the power unit. However, with the modified SF-24, no significant conclusions can be drawn. There is, however, one somewhat surprising factor that stands out regarding the Scuderia. In addition to McLaren and the Italian single-seater that competed in last season's championship, the Italian team has also chosen to have Charles Leclerc recover the TCP. The Monegasque driver was unable to run on Wednesday afternoon last week. The reason is well known. Lewis Hamilton's crash into the barriers at over 200 kilometers per hour had destroyed the front end of the SF-23. An expert from Maranello had even arrived to assess whether it was feasible to put Charles Leclerc on track. However, following preliminary examinations of the car, it was decided to forego the session, with the awareness that the Ferrari driver's previous car test would still take place. As a result, the former Alfa Romeo driver will be able to train a bit more in preparation for the end-of-month tests scheduled in Sakhir, Bahrain. Returning to the SF-24 for Lewis Hamilton, it will be his first time. That's true. However, given all the aforementioned restrictions, Charles's session aboard the 2023 single-seater will be significantly more meaningful. He too is working on tire testing, but in his case, although the tires are also specific and produced by Pirelli solely for the TCP tests, the data collection that can be carried out is far more interesting, particularly for comparisons that will later be made in the simulator. This is a useful move to work on data correlation, which remains one of the most crucial aspects in modern F1. Charles knows the Ferrari environment very well. In 2025, he will face his 7th season with the historic Maranello team. For this reason, his feedback, though partial and gathered with an older car, could still prove useful to the cause. The key figures involved have confirmed this. Testing continues today, once again for Pirelli. We await the end of the day to learn more. Ferrari is therefore pushing hard. After all, in Formula One, you have to do it or you'll fall behind. The SF-25 brings several technical innovations, which we have recently detailed. The latest development concerns the work done at the rear to adjust the balance migration. A useful move to regain the traction lost in 2024, which was crucial for the 2 previous wing cars. While waiting to see the shapes of Ferrari's next aeromechanical engineering masterpiece, first in the Fiorano shakedown and then in the preseason tests. Here are the Pirelli track tests. The first part of the test took place yesterday, with the continuation today on the Catalan track. This is a very challenging competitive scenario for the teams, as the goal is to simulate the load levels of the 2026 cars, with tires produced by the Italian tire supplier for the new regulatory framework. The rules to follow are several, all governed by the directives issued by the FIA. We discussed this in detail yesterday. Therefore, even though the car was the SF-24, it was unthinkable to draw any interesting conclusions regarding 2025. Lewis Hamilton did a lot of laps, and the lap times were irrelevant. For the British driver, it was important to increase his confidence with the historic Italian team and at the same time become more familiar with all the controls on the steering wheel. We're talking about the various modes to manage the car more effectively. Charles also went out on track, and contrary to what was expected, he was also driving the 2024 car. This means that only today will he be able to recover the TPC lost last week when, due to the new teammate, he couldn't run on Wednesday afternoon. Ferrari decided to leave nothing to chance. Today, Charles should take advantage of the last opportunity granted by the FIA for the TPC. Yesterday, Hamilton and Leclerc ran with the SF-24. Two cars were appropriately modified according to the directives of the International Federation, with the aim of collecting precise data on the Pirelli 2026 tires. Therefore, as mentioned, this test couldn't have any direct impact on Ferrari's car for next season. However, for the sole tire supplier, it was of vital importance, as they are working to define the specifications for the next generation of F1 cars. Currently, there is no physical model of the 2026 cars. This is a factor that is making the work of the team of technicians led by Mario Isola particularly difficult. The team of engineers is trying to simulate the aerodynamic load levels specified by the new regulations. For this reason, the cars used in these tests are lightened by about 30 kilograms, thanks to a reduced amount of fuel used when simulating race stints in an attempt to recreate conditions as close as possible to those of the future. We know that Ferrari, like McLaren and Alpine, has been asked to work on the suspension. Very useful modifications to better understand the behavior of the compounds and effectively widen, as much as possible, the analysis range when the cars are stationary, as the saying goes. Pirelli's strategy is quite clear. Define a specific, accurate approach regarding the development of the tires. Having different teams helping, considering the different basic design characteristics, is a real boost for the Italian company. It allows them to validate the data and choose the most profitable path to follow towards the set target. In these tests, a particularly low downforce setup was needed, the one used at the Monza Grand Prix, if we are talking about Ferrari. From observing the SF-24 on track, we noticed the appearance between runs of some aerodynamic elements placed at strategic points. This is if our perception wasn't mistaken, considering that visibility was not optimal. Assuming such a context, we could most likely assert that these devices were designed to maximize downforce without compromising airflow, a measure to simulate different levels of downforce in alternate runs. We refer to the need to test low-load configurations, then compare them with a higher downforce setting. Furthermore, as we understood through our conversation with Pirelli on Monday afternoon, a different use of the rear wing was confirmed, allowing the use of DRS even outside the designated zones in practice to reduce drag in various parts of the Barcelona circuit. In summary, Ferrari showed great efficiency in testing with the SF-24. Excellent feedback provided by Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, which Pirelli deemed very valuable, contributing to the data collection necessary for the future of the tires. Today, Ferrari continues its work, and right now, they are warming up the engines to get on track. This is the final warm-up before February 19th, when the SF-25 will finally reveal its shape to the entire world. First on social media, then some exploratory laps on home soil. We will be there, of course, to provide all the information useful to the cause.